Are you someone that struggles with anxiety? Do you find it's ramped up in social situations? Do you find your anxiety ramps up when you don't know what the plan is or you feel a bit out of control? Do you find that your anxiety is impacting your daily life and your ability to succeed and thrive? You are not alone. In today's video, I want to take some time to share some tips and tricks for anxiety and general stress that have greatly helped me and impacted my ability to manage my anxiety. Let's just jump right into it. I also wanted to talk about some of the differences when it comes to managing, coping with anxiety, and feeling through what you are actually going through, and when it makes sense to focus on each one. I want to first be very clear that coping and safety behaviors and strategies are not bad, and that they don't mean you are failing at addressing your anxiety. Coping and safety behaviors can be extremely helpful and beneficial to get your body out of the physical state of fight or flight. Now, no healing or real work can really be done when you're in such a panic state. So your first response should be getting your body out of that physiological response of fight or flight, telling yourself you are not in danger, and making sure you feel like you are in a safe place before you start trying to feel through the root of your triggers. You are not wrong or damaged for feeling this way. You have to go through it to get through it. When you are able to get yourself out of that fight or flight feeling, you are able to better implement these habits and actually feel through what may be causing this fight or flight response. Often we're reacting not at the situation at hand, but at something that has been stored from later in our lives. Whether that's an emotional response that makes us feel similar to what's going on now, or maybe a similar reaction has been had in our lives in the past and we're reacting to that treatment. Coping can be defined as, in psychology, a term that refers to a person's patterns of response to stress, whereas feeling is more so about an awareness of that feeling and recognition of what you are feeling inside. When you can recognize what you are feeling, you're going to be better able to compartmentalize it in your brain and store it away and feel through it, instead of continuously bringing back up and feeling triggered by that same event. The brain is such an interesting and complex organ. I've always been fascinated with it, and even took my undergrad with an option in neuroscience because I love the brain so much. Think of it as a filing system. When we are not traumatized, our situations and experiences can be neatly put away into our detailed, organized filing system. Fun day at the beach, failed a test, learned something new. These situations can be easily processed and felt through and added to their respective folders. When we as humans become traumatized, our filing system kind of falls apart. Then, when we start experiencing new events in our lives or new situations, our brain doesn't really know how to interpret them or process them properly. We end up misfiling and putting these situations in wrong areas and reacting to situations with inappropriate responses to what's actually going on because we aren't able to figure out what's being filed. This can look a little bit different. You may find yourself overreacting, getting very upset to something that doesn't necessarily need that big of a response. Are you feeling reactive, like you can't calm down? Do you feel able to tackle the tasks on your to-do list, or are you finding yourself overwhelmed by simple tasks that you are usually able to do? Where are your thoughts going to? If you're struggling with identifying what you are feeling, or even where you are at in terms of healing, I find it can be really beneficial for myself to try and sit down and write and see where that takes me. You might find something that works better for you. One thing that has been key for me in recognizing what I am feeling is giving myself a space to feel it. It's easier said than done. Finding a place with no interruptions and no expectations on yourself is definitely not an easy feat for some people and in some situations. For me, if I know I have to be somewhere in a few hours, I cannot let my walls down enough to actually process what is going on. As well as if there is someone in my apartment, I generally really struggle to let my walls down and fully feel through a situation. Creating a space that feels safe for you will be the key to your success and being able to feel through these things. Another thing that can be really helpful when trying to figure out what you're feeling is to actually give yourself a descriptive wheel, or the ability to pick out what you are feeling. Now, this can look a bit different. There are color-coded emotional wheels, as well as descriptive words used to describe emotions that can be used to help you define what you are feeling. Now, for some, labeling emotions and defining what you feel is not an easy thing, and that's not necessarily your fault either. Over 13% of the population deals with alexithymia. I said that wrong. Alexithymia is characterized by the difficulty of identifying or defining emotions. It is a symptom, not a disorder itself, but it is very common in a lot of mental health disorders. I will include a link below to my favorite emotional color-coded wheel. It is a blog here on WordPress that I will include below for you. It has a ton of incredible resources. Let's jump into my top tips that have actually helped me reduce my anxiety. Beginning with number 1, the Wim Hof method. Now, the main pillars that the Wim Hof method focuses on are breathwork, cold therapy, and commitment. Now, the commitment comes to choosing to do the cold exposure and breathing work, the commitment to yourself. Now, I am going to be the first to say that I am a complete beginner at this. That is not to say that I have not received benefits from even doing one activity, one single time. Now, the way I have been putting this to use has been through cold showers and breath work in those showers. So it is an initial response to start breathing rapidly and almost go into a physical state of survival when you put yourself in those experiences. Now, I feel like each time I intentionally choose to put time into this, or participating in even one activity or one breathing exercise, I immediately notice an improvement. Now, what I'm not telling you to do is to go jump in an ice bath and cool down. That is going to put your body into an immediate state of fight or flight, and it's not going to help you move forward in a productive way. Now, this is the tough thing. Only you are going to know when it's the right time to try something like this, and it's not going to come from any external sources. It's going to come down to you and what feels right at that time. So give yourself some grace, go easy on yourself, and just take it moment by moment. If you end up having a great breathing exposure, but you feel a bit too overwhelmed to do it maybe the next day, give yourself a bit of a break. Come back to it again. Let yourself decompress and feel through what has come up. Something that can be a bit easier to focus on and a little less daunting can be just to start by focusing on what you are physically doing at the time. When you start feeling that fight or flight response, what are you physically doing? When I myself start to feel really anxious or notice that I am feeling anxious, generally I'm not doing anything. And I don't mean I'm not getting anything done, I mean I'm not doing anything intentional. Usually I'm sitting on my phone scrolling, I'm lost on Twitter, in the comment section, something not helpful or purposeful for myself or my mental health. I often am putting myself through more discomfort and stress because I'm not just choosing one thing to do. I'm getting stuck sitting in this indecision, weighing the different pros and cons, or not even that, just thinking, oh, I'm just gonna keep scrolling. Okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I need to do, but I know what I need to do, and it's all there. I'm just not choosing. I'm sitting in this indecision, hoping that someone will throw something at me to get done. The reality here is that no one is coming to pull me off the couch. No one is coming to pull my phone out of my hand and throw it away for me. That is something that has to come from me, just like it's something that has to come from you if it's something you want to implement in your life. I digress. Coming back to focusing on what you are physically doing, what are your hands doing when you're feeling like this? Do you want to be doing what you're doing? Give yourself a moment without your phone just to think. If I'm struggling with getting my thoughts together or just sitting kind of paralyzed in my anxiety, one thing I like to make a point of doing is cleaning my kitchen. and specifically starting with washing the dishes. Now, it seems a bit strange when you just say, feeling anxious, wash the dishes. I really saw this method through the Fly Lady. I will include her links here and below. Her resources are incredible. Welcome. For so many things. Cleaning, anxiety, disorganization, just general ability to function. The actual washing of the dishes, I find it really gets me out of my head, and I'm doing something physical with my hands, so it's a lot less easy to get lost in your train of thought because you're physically doing something. And the thing with getting the dishes done is usually once I've gotten them done, it motivates me into starting another task because I've been able to complete a task already. So that little hit of dopamine can kind of snowball you into a bit more motivation. Now, coming back around to checking out what your hands are doing, I also want to take a moment to mention Fidget Toys. If you are someone like me who continues struggling with biting your nails, biting your cuticles, picking at literally anything on yourself and around you, I recommend Fidget Toys more than anything. And I know the immediate thing that I think of is like those giant bubble popping things that kids have, but there are a lot of very discreet and adult-friendly fidget toy options. I find my favorite are these fidget rings. Let me find one. So here is probably my favorite fidget toy, and it is just a little spiky sensory ring. So I like to use this when I'm at work, and I find it's great because I work on a computer as an office administrator, so this I can fidget with and it doesn't impact my ability to do my job. And the thing with fidgeting, I find it gives me a place to put my anxious energy, and then I'm better able to focus on the task I'm working on. Now, be clear, they aren't for everyone. Some people might not like them. There are a ton of options for fidget toys as well, so I'll just show you another one I have. And this is just on my keys. And it's just a small little popping, yes. So, that's a great hit of dopamine when you need it. And I also have a classic fidget spinner, of course. I just keep that in the car though, so if my partner's driving, I can fidget with that. And I also have a little wiggle worm. I will show those. I have been obsessed with them since I was a kid. I got my first one at Rainforest Cafe, and then I lost it, and I was heartbroken for probably 10 years after until I bought one myself because I was a grown adult. So I bought a pack of fidget worms. Yeah, I'm an adult, it's fine. Now, another thing I really like to use besides fidget toys are lists. I used to be very good at making these insanely long lists and not being able to complete them. Totally unattainable, and I would put myself in this state of stress just to get these expectations done that I had put on myself. And when I wouldn't complete that list, it just ended up leaving me feeling discouraged, defeated, and like I wasn't capable. When in reality, I was just giving myself an unattainable list for the time I had in the day. So something that has been really beneficial for me has been to start creating smaller lists and intentionally create smaller lists. A good starting point, if you are a list person as well, is just giving yourself 1 or 2 tasks for that day. It seems so small when you're used to doing a ton or you're used to putting too much on yourself. Once you've accomplished those tasks that you've put for yourself on your list, feel free to add another one if you feel comfortable with it. Often I find once I'm able to check those items off, it kind of leads me into feeling more comfortable and getting a few more things done. But I also haven't put the pressure on myself that I have to get it done that day, so I find my anxiety is a little bit less, if that makes sense. Find what works for you. You may hate lists and you may find no benefit to using them whatsoever, and that's totally fair. That's totally fine. You might not be a paper list kind of person. Maybe you're more someone who likes to use their computer for lists. Maybe you're more of someone with a calendar on your phone that keeps track, or maybe you just like to fly by the seat of your pants and you remember things very well. And if you don't know, give yourself some time to try out some of these options. I will include a few online journaling apps or productivity apps that I've found very helpful, in case they may be of help for you. Now, this brings me into my next point. Giving yourself permission to rest and do literally nothing. We have become so surrounded by this hustle culture and almost this need to be productive and available 24/7. That is not realistic and that is not healthy. Boundaries, your boundaries and your ability to say no should be encouraged, it should be celebrated, and you should be doing what is going to help you thrive and feel your best. Now, this is something I've definitely struggled with, just understanding that resting is still productive, and you don't need to constantly be checking things off and getting things done to be productive. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do for yourself is do literally nothing at all. If you feel like you are approaching burnout, you feel like you do not want to do anything, all you want to do is just lay in bed, I think it might be time for you to listen to that. That's easy for me to say, being on the outside perspective, just saying, oh, just take a break, just rest. If you don't listen to your body when it's telling you to rest, it's going to make you rest. It is going to force you to stop. When was the last time you just shut off your phone and laid there? When was the last time you went for a walk? Not for exercise or to get in shape, but just to go for a walk and be outside. When was the last time you gave yourself permission just to shut off and not respond? You deserve to rest, and you deserve to give yourself that space to rest. Things can wait. That email is still going to be in your inbox the next day. You can tackle it tomorrow. Nothing has to be done right now. With that being said, I hope you have moments of peace for yourself this week. I hope you can find some moments of rest, and more than anything, I hope you can give yourself the space to be your favorite self. I am sending all my love out into the world. So is Boop. Boop, not poop. Close. We hope you have an incredible week. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, I really encourage you to check out a previous video I've made on 10 daily self-care habits to help you avoid burnout. These are the self-care habits you need, not the self-care habits you want. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for watching.